Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today, we have a topic that sounds very simple on the surface, but actually confuses so many English learners when they sit down to ask a question in English.
Yes, and what I love about this topic is that it is something you use every single day. Asking about colors, describing colors, choosing colors. And the question word you use, what or which, actually changes the feeling and the meaning of your question.
So today, we are going to go deep into what color and which color, when to use each one, why they feel different, what mistakes people make, and how to use them with total confidence in real conversation.
And we want to say from the start, this is one of those topics where even fluent English speakers sometimes go on instinct without knowing the rule. So by the end of today, you will actually understand the rule better than many native speakers can explain it.
That is so true. Let us start from the very beginning. Mary, what is the basic difference between what and which in English?
Okay, so the key is about choice. When you use which, you're choosing from a limited and specific group. There are some options in front of you or in the situation, and you're asking someone to pick from those specific options.
So which feels like there's a smaller and more defined set of possibilities.
Exactly. And when you use what, the options are open. There's no specific limited group. The answer could be anything. It's a much more open question.
So which is for choosing from a known or limited group, what is for open questions where anything is possible.
That's the heart of the difference. And this rule applies to colors the same way it applies to everything else in English.
So let's bring it directly to colors now. When would you say what color?
You say what color when you're asking about something and the color is completely unknown to you. There's no limited group of options. You have no idea what the answer might be. You're just asking freely and openly.
So, for example, what color is your car? You're asking because you genuinely do not know. The car could be red, blue, black, white, green, silver, any color at all. The options are completely open.
Yes. What color is your front door? What color were the walls in that room? What color did she dye her hair? All of these are open questions. You have no list of options in mind. You're just asking freely.
The answer could literally be any color in the world. So what color is the right question word there?
And this is the most common situation in daily conversation. You see something, you don't know its color, you ask, what color is it? Very natural and very common.
Now, when would you say which color?
You say which color when there's a specific and limited group of options involved. Either you can both see the options, or you have already named the options, or the situation clearly limits the choices.
So, for example, imagine you're at a paint shop and there are 5 sample cards on the table. You ask, which color do you like best? That makes sense because the options are right there in front of you. It's not any color in the world, it's specifically these 5 colors.
Perfect example. The options are known and limited, so which is the right word. Which color did you choose for the bedroom, the light blue or the cream?
Oh yes, you've named the 2 options, light blue and cream. So which is correct because you're asking someone to choose from that specific pair.
And which color should I paint the logo, the red or the orange? Again, 2 options are given. The question is about choosing between them. Which is perfect there?
So the test is simple. Are you asking with no specific options in mind? Use what? Are the options known or mentioned? Use which?
That test works in almost every situation. Ask yourself, are the options open or are they limited and known?
Now, let me ask you something important. What about situations where both could work? Because I think this is where learners get confused.
Yes, this is a great point. There are sentences where both what color and which color are possible and both are technically correct, but they feel slightly different.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Imagine someone says, I'm thinking of painting my room. You could ask, what color are you thinking of? That's completely open, any color in the world. Or you could ask, which color are you thinking of? That might imply you know they've been looking at a few specific options.
So the which version sounds like you know they've already narrowed it down to a few choices, and the what version sounds like you have no idea and are asking completely openly.
Exactly. Same situation, but slightly different assumptions behind the question. Which feels like you assume there are options. What feels fully open.
And in everyday casual conversation, either one can work in those gray area situations. But in clearer situations, the rule is clean. No options visible or mentioned, use what. Options visible or mentioned, use which.
And honestly, in most daily conversations, you'll be using what color much more often than which color, because most of the time you're asking about something with no specific options in front of you.
That is such a helpful thing to know. What color is the go-to in daily conversation? Which color comes up when there are clear options?
Yes, which color is more common in shopping situations, design situations, or when comparing specific choices.
Let's talk about some more real-life situations where these questions come up naturally so our listeners can really picture them.
Great idea. So at a clothing shop, you're looking at a shirt and you want to know if it comes in another color. You might ask the shopkeeper, "What colors does this come in?" Completely open. You don't know what colors are available.
And then the shopkeeper shows you 3 options, red, blue, and green. Your friend asks, "Which color do you prefer?" Now there are 3 specific options on the table. Which is perfect?
Yes, the situation shifted. First, the question was open, so what was right. Then options appeared, so which became natural.
And this shows how naturally these words shift depending on the situation. It's not a fixed rule about the word color itself. It's about the situation you're in.
At a restaurant, ordering a drink, you see there are 4 juice options on the menu. The waiter asks, "Which color juice would you like? The orange, the red, or the green?" That's which because the menu has specific limited options.
But if someone asks a child drawing a picture, "What color do you want to use?" That's what because the child can choose any crayon from the whole box, open and unlimited.
Exactly. You can see how the same basic question feels completely different depending on whether the options are open or limited.
Now let's talk about the mistakes because this is so important for building confidence.
The most common mistake is using which color when what color is needed. A learner might ask, "Which color is your bag?" But unless they've already seen a few bags or are pointing at specific choices, this sounds a little unnatural.
Right. If you're just seeing the bag for the first time and genuinely do not know its color, "What color is your bag?" is the natural question, which implies you already have options in mind.
And some learners use which for everything because they think it sounds more polite or more formal, but which is not more formal than what. They serve different purposes. Using which when there are no defined options just sounds a little odd to a native speaker.
Another mistake is using what color when someone is clearly pointing at specific options. If a designer shows you 3 color samples and asks, "What color do you want?" it's a little strange because the options are right there. "Which color do you want?" is much more natural in that moment. So the mistake goes both ways, using which in open situations and using what when options are clearly in front of you.
And the fix for both mistakes is the same. Always ask yourself before you speak, are there specific limited options here that we both know about? If yes, use which. If no, use what.
Another mistake I want to mention is that some learners think which is always used for objects and what is always for general things. That is not true. The choice between what and which is always about open versus limited options, not about the type of object.
Right. The word color does not change the rule. The word shirt does not change the rule. The word car does not change the rule. The rule about open versus limited options applies to everything.
And some learners worry too much about getting this perfect in fast conversation. Let me say something reassuring here.
Please do, because I think our listeners need to hear this.
In casual, everyday conversation, native speakers are very flexible about what and which. Many times they use them almost interchangeably, especially in relaxed speech. If you say, "Which color is your car?" to a friend, they will understand you perfectly. They might not even notice.
So the distinction matters more in writing, in formal communication, and in situations where you really want to sound natural and precise. In casual chat, people will understand you either way.
But learning the rule gives you control. It means you can choose the right one confidently when it matters, and over time it will become automatic even in fast speech.
Knowing the rule is power, even if you do not always need to apply it perfectly in every single moment.
Exactly. Understanding the principle means you're never confused. You know why one sounds better than the other in any given situation.
Let us also talk about some useful sentence patterns because I think patterns really help learners use these naturally.
Great idea. So for what color, common patterns are what color is your blank, what color are the blank, what color was the blank, what color do you want, what color did they choose?
All of those are open questions. The answer is unknown and could be anything.
And for which color, common patterns are which color do you prefer, this one or that one? Which color did you choose from the options? So the mistake goes both ways, using which in open situations and using what when options are clearly in front of you.
And the fix for both mistakes is the same. Always ask yourself before you speak, are there specific limited options here that we both know about? If yes, use which. If no, use what.
Another mistake I want to mention is that some learners think which is always used for objects and what is always for general things. That is not true. The choice between what and which is always about open versus limited options, not about the type of object.
Right. The word color does not change the rule. The word shirt does not change the rule. The word car does not change the rule. The rule about open versus limited options applies to everything.
And some learners worry too much about getting this perfect in fast conversation. Let me say something reassuring here.
Please do, because I think our listeners need to hear this.
In casual, everyday conversation, native speakers are very flexible about what and which. Many times they use them almost interchangeably, especially in relaxed speech. If you say, "Which color is your car?" to a friend, they will understand you perfectly. They might not even notice.
So the distinction matters more in writing, in formal communication, and in situations where you really want to sound natural and precise. In casual chat, people will understand you either way.
But learning the rule gives you control. It means you can choose the right one confidently when it matters, and over time it will become automatic even in fast speech.
Knowing the rule is power, even if you do not always need to apply it perfectly in every single moment.
Exactly. Understanding the principle means you're never confused. You know why one sounds better than the other in any given situation.
Let us also talk about some useful sentence patterns because I think patterns really help learners use these naturally.
Great idea. So for what color, common patterns are what color is your blank, what color are the blank, what color was the blank, what color do you want, what color did they choose?
All of those are open questions. The answer is unknown and could be anything.
And for which color, common patterns are which color do you prefer, this one or that one, which color did you choose from the options, which color works best for this design, which color should I go with, the dark or the light?
Notice how the which color patterns almost always have a sense of comparison or selection from a known group. Even when the options are not stated directly, the feeling is there.
Yes, which always carries that feeling of selecting from something. What carries the feeling of discovering something new.
Selecting from something versus discovering something new. I love that way of framing it.
And it applies to so much more than just colors. This same principle works for what food versus which food, what book versus which book, what option versus which option. Once you understand it for colors, you understand it for everything.
That is one of the great things about learning a grammar principle instead of just memorizing examples. You can apply it across all of English.
Exactly. You're not just learning about colors today, you're learning something that makes your whole English grammar stronger.
Let us do a practice round now. I'll describe a situation and you tell me which question sounds more natural.
Ready?
James, you walk into your friend's new apartment for the first time and you see their living room walls. You want to ask about the color. What do you say?
What color did you paint the walls? Because you're seeing the walls for the first time. No specific options were given. It's a completely open question.
Perfect. Next situation. You're at a salon and the stylist shows you 4 shades of brown hair color. You want to know which one the client chose.
Which color did you go with? Because there are 4 specific options on the table. The choice is from a limited, known group.
Great. Third one. Your child is about to color in a drawing and you want to know what color they will use for the sky. The whole box of crayons is open to them.
What color are you going to use for the sky? Completely open. Any color from the whole box. What is perfect?
Fourth one, you're choosing a new phone case online. The website shows you 5 available colors, and your friend asks which one you want.
Which color do you want to get? 5 specific options are shown. The choice is limited to those 5. Which is exactly right?
Last one, you see a beautiful flower you've never seen before, and you want to ask someone what color it is.
What color is that flower? You genuinely don't know. There are no limited options. It's a completely open discovery question.
5 out of 5. Absolutely perfect reasoning every time. Listeners, go back and try each one yourself before listening to the answers. Think about whether the situation is open or limited.
And then, this week, every time you ask a question about color in English, stop for just 1 second and ask yourself, are there specific options here, or is this completely open? That tiny pause will build a very strong habit very quickly.
That's such practical daily practice advice. 1 second of awareness each time you speak can build a lifelong habit.
And be kind to yourself if you make a mistake. Getting what and which mixed up is such a common and understandable mistake. It doesn't change the meaning dramatically, and people will always understand you.
Yes, the goal is not perfection every time. The goal is understanding, growth, and confidence, and you're already building all 3 of those just by listening today.
Let's close with a clean and simple summary so everyone can carry these ideas with them.
So, what color is used when the question is completely open? You don't know the color. There are no specific limited options in the situation. The answer could be any color at all. What color is your jacket? What color did she paint her nails? What color do you want for the logo?
And which color is used when there are specific and limited options involved. Either the options are visible, already named, or clearly implied by the situation. Which color do you prefer, the navy or the black? Which color did you choose from the 3 samples? Which color looks better on me, this one or that one?
The core principle is simple. Open and unlimited options mean use what. Known and limited options mean use which. This rule applies to colors and to everything else in English too.
Common mistakes to avoid. Using which when there are no specific options present, using what when clear specific options are visible or named, thinking which is more formal or polite than what, it's not, thinking the object being described changes the rule, it does not. The rule is always about open versus limited options.
In casual daily conversation, both can often be understood, but knowing the rule gives you precision and confidence when it matters.
And knowing the rule for what versus which with colors means you now understand a much bigger principle of English grammar that will help you in hundreds of other situations.
One rule, hundreds of uses. That's real English learning.
We are so grateful that you spent this time with us today. Every episode you listen to is a real investment in yourself and in your English.
Keep going, keep practicing, and remember you're building something real and lasting with every single lesson. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone, and see you in the next episode.
See you soon.